And I am going to start by welcoming everyone, and I'm going to ask our interpreters to please read the interpretation directions. We can start with our Chinese Mandarin interpreter first.
各位家长，大家好，请您需要这个中文翻译的话，请您打这个电话347-966-4114，然后按密码627980-4，然后井字号。再一次就是请您打这个电话347-966-4114，然后按密码627980-4井字号，谢谢。Instruction complete.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to ask our Spanish interpreters to make their announcements.
Buenas tardes para todos. Si quieren escuchar esta presentación en español, por favor llaman al número 347-266-4114. Repito, 347-266-4114. Ingresar el código 607-889-719. Repito, 607-889-719. Igualmente pueden encontrar la información en el chat y por favor recuerden mantener sus micrófonos apagados. Muchas gracias. Spanish announcement completed.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Before we turn over to Arefa and Danielle, who will be taking us through the presentation, I want to thank Tracy from our team, who will be here helping out. And I will turn over to Superintendent Dantona for some opening words before we get started.
Yeah, thanks so much, Louis. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, thank you to the team for organizing this being our third and final session for the spring. So thank you to Danielle and Arefa for organizing this work so that you as parents have a better understanding as to how your child is performing on the screening assessments, which tell us, where they are in the context of being ready to be proficient readers by the time they get into third grade. And this being the second grade edition of this work, really, really, really important. One, to not only connect with the content that you're going to hear tonight, but also to be sure that you're connected with your child's school and teacher, so that you are fully aware of where your child is going into the third grade next year. So it's important for you as you listen to this information to ask questions if you have them. Our team is here to answer any of those questions that you may have, to support you in your next steps, and also for you to be mindful of the things that you can do to connect with your child over the summer to keep them active and keep them moving forward as readers. So, please take the time to ask those questions. We're here for that. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's session. I hope it's informative for you. So Danielle and Arefa, I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dantona. We want to welcome all of you here for joining us for our last session of the school year in terms of Acadience Reading, the Parent Workshop, understanding the end of the year data for your second grade students. So on Friday will be the deadline for all of our students in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade to complete our assessments regarding with Acadience. So we're still waiting for a few of our students to complete that. And then we're going to be talking about what they were working on when they did their assessments in school with their classroom teacher. So what is Acadience Reading Assessment? So all kindergarten, first and second grade students are tested 3 times during the school year using the Acadience Reading. The purpose of this assessment is to monitor your child's development in reading, as Dr. Dantona was mentioning earlier. We want to identify students needing additional help, and it helps guide the teacher's classroom instruction. It is not used to grade your child. We do want to remind that. It's a very important thing to remember. This is not used to grade your child. This is not used to have help with any information in terms of grades for your child's report card. So Acadience reading test skills that are necessary for learning to read. So children who learn these skills become good readers. So these are some of the skills our second grade students had to be assessed in throughout the school year. So we take a look at their phonemic awareness. Are they hearing and using sounds in spoken words? We also took a look at their phonics. So phonics is knowing the sounds of the letters and sounding out written words. Then we move into learning to find out if our students are accurate and fluent readers? Are they reading stories and other materials easily and quickly with few mistakes? And finally, we take a look at their comprehension. Are they understanding what they are reading? And these skills are tested in various ways throughout kindergarten, first and second grade, at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. So what is Acadience reading? So if you joined us at the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year, we were mentioning that each skill test takes approximately 1 minute and is administered one-to-one, so that your student and the classroom teacher sits one-to-one, so that the teacher can really hear what the student is saying. Each test is an indicator of how well a child is doing in learning a particular early reading skill. The scores tell us whether a child is likely to be on track for learning to read, or whether a child may need some help in learning important reading skills. Your child's teacher will use this information along with other class information to better help your child. So what do we do on a daily basis to help our students become really good at the phonics, at the phonemic awareness, being accurate and fluent readers, and understanding what they're reading? We use these two programs here that we show you on the screen right now to help our students get there. All the skills that are tested in Acadience are skills that are taught in daily class lessons during Haggerty and Foundations. These two programs start off our literacy block every day. This is what's going to help our students become really great at phonemic awareness, knowing their hearing and using sounds and spoken words. These two programs also help them with their phonics, knowing the sounds of the letters and sounding out their written words. These two programs also help them with being accurate and fluent readers. And these two programs also incorporate helping them to become understanding what they're reading in their texts. So what is tested in second grade? So the end of the year, as we mentioned earlier, is coming to a close in this window on Friday. So the end of the year started on May 5th all the way to June 13th. So we have until Friday to make sure all of our students in kindergarten, first and second grade are assessed with Acadience reading. Within second grade, we're really super focused on how our students are reading fluently. We're checking, are they being accurate? We're checking to see, are they being fluent? And we're also checking to see, do they have strong comprehension when they're reading their texts? So some of the things that we're going to be focusing on is mostly on oral reading fluency. So we're checking, one of the things we first check to see is how many words are they going to be reading correctly. So if you take a look at the document on the left side of the screen, a story like this is presented to your child and they have to read the words that are on the page. On this assessment, we're taking a look to see their oral reading fluency. Here, a student has 1 minute to read a passage. At the end of that 1 minute, a few items gets calculated at the same time. So we're taking a look to see how many words are our students reading correctly when they have 1 minute to read a passage. So here, our student is reading a passage and we're taking a look to see what can be calculated. The first aspect that gets calculated after the student engages in the oral reading fluency passage is to find out how many words they read correctly. Words correct helps us understand how automatic the student can recognize and read the words correctly. We calculate words correct by finding out how many total words were read in the minute and subtract it from the errors of the words they did not say correctly. So in this story, the student read a total of 73 words in 1 minute. They made 15 errors while they were reading. So if they read 73 words in a minute and we subtract 15 because they made 15 errors, we have a total of 58 words were read correctly in 1 minute. At this point of the year, at the end of the year for our second grade students, the goal for students to be considered meeting the needs of words correct, meaning being very automatic, while reading the passage in 1 minute is having 87 words or more read correctly. So in this example, with our student reading 58 words correctly in 1 minute, they did not meet the benchmark at this point of the year. So the goal is to have our students to be reading 87 words correct in a minute. And this is going to help us understand if our students are being automatic. If our students are spending a lot of time trying to read the words or sounding out the sounds in the words to read the words, then that's going to take away time of how many words they can read correctly in 1 minute. The next aspect that we're going to focus on when the students are being assessed is their accuracy. When we think of the accuracy involves how are they using their advanced phonics skills and their word attack skills to read these passages. So in these passages, a lot of the things that they learn in foundations are coming into play. So they have to read diagraphs correctly. They have to read short and long vowel patterns correctly. And here are some examples. We have VC words, CVC words, CVC silent E words. They're also going to be reading R-controlled vowels in words with more than one syllable. They also have to decode words with common word parts such as prefixes, suffixes, and root words. And they also have to decode grade level multisyllabic words. So all the things that they're learning in the program and foundations in the morning when we start our literacy block is going to help them here. They're going to be applying the skills, applying the phonics that they're learning, and read these texts with fluency and hopefully with accuracy. So in the sample passage that we see here, we're going to be taking a look at the accuracy that was exhibited by the student. Accuracy helps us understand if the student is using their knowledge of phonics and word attack skills to help read the words that are on the page. Using this story, we see the information of the total words read, the errors made, and words correct to determine the accuracy. So here's going to be a little math equation that is being used. It is done automatically when the teacher enters the information, but we wanted to show you what goes into understanding their accuracy. So we find out how many words are correct, and then we also find out how many words were correct plus their errors, and then we multiply that by 100. So in this example, our student here read 58 words correct. Underneath, we're going to be calculating their words correct plus their errors. So it's going to be 58 plus 15. When we do the multiplication of that, our student here is showing us that they're 79% accurate. The goal for students to be considered meeting the needs of accuracy, meaning are they using the skills of their phonics and their word attack skills while they're reading the passage? They need to be 97% or higher at the end of the year. So you're probably noticing when you're listening to our beginning of the year information, our middle of the year information, more is expected as the months and the weeks go by throughout the school year. So at the beginning of the school year, the accuracy was 80%. Now at the end of the year, we're expecting more higher percentages when it comes to accuracy. At the end of the year for second grade students, they need to have 97% or more to be considered accurate in their reading. The 97% or more tells us that they're at or above their second grade level when it comes to accuracy. Another portion that is being calculated in the oral reading fluency is the retell. So here, again, the student has 1 minute to read the same passage, and at the end of that 1 minute, a few items get calculated. So with the retell, we're really focusing in on, are they understanding the words that they're reading? So we ask questions that are literal, that means the answers are in the story, and we're asking questions that are inferential, where the questions and the answers are not in the story. They have to explain the main idea. We have to summarize a narrative or expository, which is a nonfiction passage. They have to retell everything that one can from a narrative or expository passage. And they have to identify the sequence of events. So when that gets calculated, we're really taking a look to see, can they retell? Do they understand the story that they just read? So the retell and the comprehension helps us understand if the student can remember the information that happened in the passage. The teacher will keep track of the amount of words that the student uses to retell the story. The words that are considered matching the information in the story will only count. Words and phrases that are repeated over and over do not count. So the goal at the end of the year for students to be meeting the needs of retelling, of comprehending a text while reading the passage in 1 minute is 27 or more words. So again, as we mentioned earlier, the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, we had less amount of words that they had to meet the benchmark. At the end of the year, the benchmark gets higher because much more is expected. They've learned many more things throughout the school year, so much more is expected at this point of the school year. So we also take a look to see their quality of their responses. The teacher will listen to the details that the student shares to determine the quality of their retell. So a student will get 1 point if they gave 2 or less details from the text. The student will get 2 points if they provide 3 or more details. A student will get 3 points if they're providing 3 or more details in a meaningful sequence. And they will be able to get 4 points if they're providing 3 or more details in a meaningful sequence that captures the main idea. And if you notice, when each point, if more is shared by the student, more points are given. So if you're noticing that 1 point, it's the least amount of information that they're giving us about their comprehension. When we're thinking about as they get 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, they're giving more information. They're truly understanding the text. They can put things in order. They can capture what this whole text is about. So the more that they understand from each passage, the more points that they get for the retell and the quality of their responses. The goal for students to be considered meeting the needs of retelling, meaning their quality of their responses while reading the passage in 1 minute, is 2 points. So at this point of the school year, if they're able at the end of the year to get 2 points, at this point, they're considered meeting the benchmark for second grade in retelling the quality of their responses. So now I'm going to turn it over to Danielle to share with us how we can help our students who are our second grade students going into third grade over the summer.
Thank you, Arefa. So Arefa has now explained how your child is being assessed in the classroom. What I will do is go over some of the ways that you as a parent or other family members can help your child at home in their literacy skills over the summer to prepare them for the third grade. So like Arefa explained, the oral reading fluency, which is the accurate and fluent reading, is what is tested and goals for second grade. So the best thing that we can do at home with our students is to read together. Read as much as possible. Choose books that interest your child. Take turns reading a page or a paragraph. When you read to your child, you're modeling what fluent reading sounds like, and it allows you the opportunity to know the text so that you can discuss it with your child. And when you're discussing with the child, ask them questions about what they read. Ask them to retell you what they read, and ask them questions that will encourage them to deep thinker about what they just read. And we have some resources that we've been sharing with our teachers with sample questions that can be asked that you should be receiving home for your reference over the summer. We've also linked here some support resources with videos. When you click on the pink titles, these will link you to, they will bring you to a YouTube video. What this is showing you is the program that the students are using every day to learn phonics is called Foundations. And in Foundations, every sound that a letter or letters makes is associated with a key word for students to reference to help them remember the sound of those letters. For example, S, signaled by a snake, so they would say S, snake, S. And when it's more than one letter making a sound, as in what we call glued sounds, like all in ball or am in ham. So these links will bring you to videos that you can play for your child and watch with your child. It's an excellent review for them to do this summer to keep this fresh in their minds. And the next slide has another video for vowel sounds. Vowels make multiple sounds, whether they are short or long, and some have even some irregular long sounds. This too is linked to a YouTube video that will go through the sounds for you to have your child review. on this slide, we have videos to R-controlled vowels, which is a vowel that has an R next to it, and vowel teams, which is two vowels that make one sound together. Again, linked to YouTube videos for you to have your child review and practice. Additionally, Foundations has home support letters. Hopefully, you have seen these this school year from your teacher. They send them home at the beginning of the unit. And what these letters do is they explain to us as parents what your child is going to be learning in this unit, what skills, what phonics sounds, what tricky words, what syllable types. Whatever your child is learning in phonics, it is sent home to you as a parent so that you can be informed and you have activities to help them. So if you still have these from the school year, they can certainly be reviewed again over the summer. And we know that everyone by now is familiar with decodable texts. All of the students in our schools across District 25 have been building their word accuracy, fluency, and their reading comprehension through the use of decodable texts. On the screen, you see a sample of a black and white decodable text that many of our students have been able to take home with them so that they can practice reading at home the texts that they've been reading in school. These texts are read every single day in school for 5 days. So because they've been able to practice these stories for multiple times with the teacher, once they bring them home, they should be able to read to you to help reinforce their accurate and fluent reading. Any of these decodable texts that come home with your child have the phonics skills and patterns in them that they have already learned with their teacher, and any irregular or sight words that they've also learned in school. Hopefully, you have a collection of these from the school year that you are able to have your child continue to read to you and with you over the summer. The last thing I wanted to tell you about is the Acadience Parent Report. At the end of each of the 3 testing times of the year, a parent report is generated to inform you, the guardian, of how your child scored. Here on the screen is an example of what an end of the year parent report may look like. And it shows what was tested and how your child scored on each of the measures. A measure that is in the blue means that the child scored above grade level. In the green means they scored at grade level. The yellow means they scored below grade level. And the red means they scored well below grade level. So this report shows you how your child performed on each of the measures and at each time of the year. This helps give you information on where your child needs more support to help them continue to build these literacy skills. If you do not receive this report automatically by your teacher, know that you can request it from them. So we hope that this session was informative for you as the parents in helping understand what your child has been assessed on in literacy and how you can support them at home moving forward.
So parents, I thank you for being on here, but would love to know if you have any questions. So if we have any questions in our interpretation rooms, that would be terrific. If we have any parents that are not in the interpretation rooms that want to add it to the chat, or even come off mute to ask a question that you may have connected to your second grader and how they've performed on those screeners. This is a great opportunity to do that. So I encourage you to ask those questions. And we'll be happy to answer them. Do we have any questions in the Spanish interpretation room or the Chinese interpretation room?
No questions in the Spanish room.
Thank you so much.
No questions in the Mandarin line. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So Jennifer, the results come directly from your school. So either your classroom teacher, if you're not successful there for some reason, then you're building leadership. Or you can certainly reach out to us if in the event that there's trouble in either of those spaces, but you really shouldn't have difficulty connecting with your classroom teacher to learn about the results of your child's performance.
And the results might come in a hard copy where you may get a physical piece of paper, or it may be shared depending upon your classroom teacher via Google Classroom or Class Dojo. So just think about how your classroom teacher has been communicating throughout the school year. If the classroom teacher has been communicating via Google Classroom a lot or Class Dojo, it may live there. If the classroom teacher has been giving a lot of paper documents, then you may get a paper copy coming your way pretty soon.
Yeah, but really, really important that if you haven't received it, that you engage in that outreach because it's necessary for you to know where your child is.
If you have not received a parent letter from the beginning of the year and the middle of the year assessment time, you really want to make sure that you reach out before the last day of school to ask your child's teacher for their end of the year report so that you ensure receiving it before the end of the school year.
And we will send the reminder to all of our schools too to make sure that they're sending them out. But sometimes paper copies and school bags don't always make the best of marriages, and those papers don't always make it to where they need to be. So you know, we'll reiterate that with all of our schools to make sure that you guys are getting the message.
And please feel free to reach out to the classroom teacher to help get a better understanding of what your specific student did on this assessment, because sometimes when we get the parent report, it doesn't give you all the full details. It just gives you the color coded, it just gives you the number. But if chatting with your classroom teacher, the classroom teacher can show the responses that your student did during this assessment.
Any other questions that may be that you may have? Please don't hesitate.
Yes, hi. Will there be an option to review this presentation for people who just joined late? Is this a recording be available someplace?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question, James. It will be available on our district site. So once the meeting is over, we take the recording and we post it to make it accessible to you as parents. And because especially if you registered for this, we can follow up with an email to you guys so that you know where the link is and all of that.
So for those who didn't register, how would we be able to get the link?
So that it'll be right on our district website, and
beautiful.
I can put the link in the chat for you. In fact, Tracy,
Beautiful.
if you're there, could you put the link in the chat for me? Or I think Danielle, you might have done that already. The presentation is there. But Tracy, if you wouldn't mind putting in the link to our district site, so that Mr. Bond can have access to it.
Could you also please put the YouTube link also here?
Yeah, so the YouTube link wouldn't be ready until after the meeting is finished. So on the events page that you guys had where the link is and what you'll see on our district site, there will be a direct link right to the recorded presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions in our translation rooms?
I just want to make sure because I just clicked on that link. Would I need to like any kind of credentials or login information to get to see this? Because it's just giving me like a little page display with really a lot of verbiage that
No, it shouldn't, it
Tracy,
shouldn't
can
be.
you link for us the, maybe I didn't link
Nope, nope,
correctly.
I did it. I clicked on both
Oh, you
links.
did?
They're both working. Yep.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
the one that I just put in the chat will bring you directly to our district page. Someone's on. We'll bring you right to our district page, and on the district page, you'll see a link that says events, and that's where you'll see the recordings of all of our sessions, including today.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so very much. That makes
You're
it much
welcome.
easier.
You're quite
So-
welcome.
This is what the site looks like once you get there. And like Dr. Dantona mentioned, right here under events, the second tab, you would find the recordings there. The recordings will be available obviously after the meeting is over, and it will be launched into that location in the website.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you.
All right, guys. So thank you so much. I can't stress this enough to you. Please make sure if you haven't gotten those reports from your child's school, please do so. Really, really important that you know where the end of the school year. We'll also support you in making some decisions over the summer and in consultation with the school. So other than that, I hope you have an amazing night. And you know, if you need us, we are here for you.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Great
Thank
presentation.
you.
All right, thank you so much to all of our interpreters. Really appreciate you guys being here and supporting us tonight.
Yes, thank you so much.
Very grateful.
Thank you for all you did today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Danielle, Arefa, terrific job as always. Tracy, thanks for being on here to support. Thanks so much.
Thank you. You guys
Everyone have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a great night.
Thanks, guys.